Hey,
Hi, how are
hi.
you? Happy
I'm good. Hey,
birthday!
thanks. Thank you.
We got balloons for you.
Oh my gosh, that's that's amazing. Wow.
Are you having a good
That's
day?
so festive. Yeah, it has been such a nice day. It snowed yesterday, so it kind of coated the whole world in a beautiful,
Oh,
just
nice.
pristine, not like too much, just like the right amount. And so it just made it nice to like have a real easygoing day, and yeah, it's been really nice.
Oh, good.
Thanks.
Good. And how has your week been?
um, my week, it's been good. Like I had a tough week last week,
Yeah.
although we had the inauguration, and that was great. But I couldn't really. I was looking after my dad, and there was a tense moment where he put on Fox News, and
Oh, no.
meanwhile, like I'm, uploading my "Fuck You Trump" song onto Bandcamp, like sitting behind him, kind of. Anyway, but that we didn't really talk about any of that, but I kind of just couldn't really engage with the whole thing, so that was a little tough. But it's been good to be back home, and been. What about you? How's things been going?
Good, really good. Democracy seems like it's back on track for a little while. So we had a good, inauguration day, and then I have been doing a deep dive on Fran Lebowitz the last week.
Oh,
So I don't know if you've checked out her Netflix
I,
thing that she did with Scorsese recently.
I'm looking forward. I am really looking forward to that.
I think I don't didn't really actually know that much about her prior to checking out the documentary. I conflate her with Annie Leibovitz,
Oh wow.
the photographer for Rolling Stone, and so I started watching the documentary series, and she's just got such charisma and magnetism and a lot of wisdom, and I find her very like appealing and relatable. And so I bought one of her. The only thing I could find was like a collection of her two books on audio because I really like her voice and I
Oh
like
yeah, her voice
hearing
is.
her talk to me and sort of share her kind. I know she probably just thinks they're like quips or whatever, but I think there's actually an underlying wisdom to a lot of the things that she has to say. I'm just deep into Fran right now, so I recommend the
Oh,
documentary.
I'm looking forward to it. She was such a inspiration
Yeah.
and such a cool character, being in New York in the like 80s and 70s too. I think I first became aware of her in the late 70s, and just she was so clever, so scathing, so
Yes, she's hilarious. Did you
um
ever run into her? I know she's kind
um
of on the scene a lot, so I
yeah,
didn't know.
I never did. So I'm really looking forward to watching that series. I've been while I was driving to and from Pittsburgh, I was enjoying listening to a book about another New York character. Well, she wasn't from New York, but it's the biography of Elaine Stritch. It's
I love
called.
Elaine Stritch.
I mean, I love her, and it's called Still Here, and she's so she's such a like unpleasant character in some ways, irascible, I guess is the
Yeah,
word,
yeah,
but like I just kick myself. I regret so much not somehow scraping together some money to go see her at Cafe Carlyle, or when she did At Liberty at Joe's at the Public Theater. Any chance, I just I really, I don't have a lot of regrets, but not seeing her live, because she just kills me when I
yeah.
hear her perform any song. Really, I just like end up in tears, whether it's a funny one or a tragic one. I just think what a great performer. Anyway, it's a really good book.
I,
Still
I I
Here.
totally want to check it out. Yeah, there was a documentary about her that came out a few years ago.
Yes.
That is a lot of fun and certainly addresses lightly, I think, but without, not subtly, but like that she may be kind of a tough hang and maybe a difficult person to work with, but she's so amazing. And I mean, I'll probably once a year go and check out that company documentary
Yeah,
they
that's
tried to
incredible.
make.
The Pennebaker, yeah, they talk about that in the book, and that whole scene where she can't get the song, she's
Yeah.
trying to do the Ladies Who Lunch, and then she comes back and nails it. And I just want to watch everything that is. There's tons of appearances she made on talk shows like Michael Parkinson. She spent a lot of time in London, and so yeah, and I think it's called Shoot Me, the documentary about her.
Okay. Right.
I'm just kind of like anything I can find right now. I mean, Eric probably thinks I'm, turning into like a musical theater, going down this whole rabbit hole. And, that is a part of me that he probably doesn't really, I don't know if he's too on board with that. But I just keep telling him, like, I'm going to play you some of this stuff of hers, and you're not going to, it's undeniable. You
Yeah.
can't resist.
Yeah, no, she's amazing, and again, yeah, talk about magnetism and just watching her on screen. Even like her performance in 30 Rock, she plays Alec Baldwin's mother, and she's just hilarious every time that she shows up on screen. So yeah, I
Yeah.
love Elaine Stritch.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad
I'm on
we're in
board
agreement.
completely.
These two great dames, Fran Lebowitz and Elaine Stritch.
I know. I mean, we didn't even
aspiring to.
talk about this, what we were gonna, recommend, and it seems like we've got like a nice set of bookends
Yes. Yes.
of New
Perfect.
York icons. So cool. Well, thank you for that recommendation. I can't wait to check that out.
Thanks.
So
So yeah, I guess, yeah. Since it is my birthday today, and I think like some people say, oh, it's great to have a gig on New Year's Eve because it's kind of, you know, sets up what the rest of the year is going to be. Of course, that wasn't really an option for anybody this year, but I've never been one of those bands, artists that someone wants to play
no.
at a New Year's party. So,
Oh, okay.
but I've never shied away from having a gig on my birthday because it just feels like that it's like an affirmation of that I'm doing stuff, and like Elaine, still here.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why it seemed fun to do this today, and maybe talk about like any times we might have like had an interesting gig on a birthday, or played at someone else's, other celebrations, weddings,
Yeah. Yeah.
funerals, memorials.
Well, we've never had the pleasure of playing at a New Year's either. We're not that big of a draw. And I'm not really a New Year's person anyway, so I think I would probably shy away from it if we ever became huge and somebody really wanted us to do that, unless we got a really good guarantee. But I was thinking about this. I remember that we had to play my brother's wedding. And that
Oh.
was kind of crazy because I was also like his best lady. He didn't have a best man, he had me. And so I had to give a toast and kind of like run a lot of interference. And by the time we actually had to like play some songs for him and his new wife, I think everyone was really exhausted of me. And I felt really bad having to take the stage one more time so that we could play a couple tunes, for my brother and his wife. So
It's hard. It's not a lot of it is a lot of pressure. I've together Eric and I have played quite a few weddings because he's got A Whole Wide World. That's such a romantic song. I wrote this song "Cynically Yours" years ago,
Love
which,
that.
was inspired because a friend said, "Oh, there's no wedding songs for people who are getting like remarried." Like a realistic wedding song was kind of the idea. So, we've been asked like to play to, and people, the groom or the bride or fans, and they want to hear those songs, but a lot of times like the other guests are just like, who the hell are these people? Why do we have to suffer through this? It's not like they want to hear songs they know. It
Yeah.
can just be so much pressure, and you feel
Yeah.
like it's not just another gig. This is a day that like someone's going to like want to remember the rest of their lives, and you don't want to mess it up for them, and you want their guests to all be happy and having a great time. And like whatever someone offers to pay you to play
Yeah.
a wedding gig, it's never enough.
No.
It's because the pressure is just is so much, like I you know I really, my hat's off to wedding to wedding bands, people who do that like as a, when that sort of thing is going on, they do that as like a regular gig. I think that's a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're right. Obviously, there's like something charming about having, your kid sister, play a couple indie rock songs for a wedding, but really, most people just want to hear YMCA and cut a
It's
rug.
true.
And it's so weird to have like, hipster affectations and think like, oh, we got to be so cool. When in fact, it's like, people want to just celebrate. So, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that there's an amount of money to get me to play a wedding. It just seems like and it's a big day, and they want to remember it fondly, and I just don't know. Perhaps I don't know. Perhaps I'll rewrite history on this one site, but I don't think weddings are my scene. What was it like playing on your birthday? Do you let the audience know that it's your birthday?
It depends on the situation. When I turned 40, that I happened to be touring with Warren Zevon,
Oh my
and
gosh.
we were in Columbus, Ohio, and I went to the radio station, and in the afternoon, and was just like on the air, and the DJ's like, just asking me questions, and then like somebody stuck a piece of paper up against the glass to into the studio, and it said, Warren is ailing. Tonight's show canceled. Amy doesn't know. And so yeah, the gig had been pulled, and I was like enthusing about like how what an honor and blah 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 to open for her. And anyway, and so the nice thing was, a promoter from this little bar in town called in and offered me a gig.
Oh, nice.
And so like that was, and like it felt like everybody in Columbus showed up, and they wheeled a cake out on stage, and
Gosh.
it was just like, it was so sweet. It was like one of the happiest nights of my life, and turning 40 was no small thing. It was really, it was like a heavy a
Yeah.
heavy number, especially like if you're trying to play. I don't know what it's like now, but like back then, it just felt like being 40. Forget it. You can't
Yeah.
keep doing this music thing. You're too old. But anyway, so that like the whole place sang happy birthday. But I think the last time I had a gig on my birthday was when Eric and I lived in France. And it just so happened to be my birthday, but we had taken this gig at this, it was an Irish pub in Angoulême, which
Okay.
is, like a small city. We'd played there before, so we kind of knew what we were getting into. But it was run by this like former madam, and
Oh,
and she was a really colorful character. But anyway, so playing in this Irish pub, it was just like not, it wasn't the greatest gig. And at one point we're playing, we were enjoying ourselves. It's a good
Sure.
thing when it's like you're not playing solo, like at least if you're playing with a band or another musician, you can kind of have fun together. But a guy came up in the middle of our set and came up to Eric because he was the man, and and told him in French, like, "You're very good, and the mademoiselle also, but we're trying to have a conversation over here. Could you just lower the volume a little bit?" And so
Oh,
that was and the way that he said lower the volume, it's the word for fuck is the same in French as like. And so Eric, of course, seized on that to tell, to like say over the microphone, kind of some choice words to the man in French. And anyway, it was not a great it was not a great gig. A few months later, we actually moved away from France.
uh-huh.
Yeah, just like it was hard. It was hard to play gigs there, but for the most part. But and that gig was a perfect illustration of why it just
Gosh.
like never seemed to work so well. But anyway, hopefully gigs will return, maybe I don't know, by this time next year, I
Yeah,
think.
I would hope so. I mean, that seems like conservative optimism. So I like your chances. Um, I oh, I saw you're playing like a virtual show in a couple
Yes, I
days, right?
am. February 5th, an online show through Art and Guild in Delaware. It's a really
Wow.
cool old, like a little hall. And I'm just going to be there. There's not going to be an audience in the
Yeah.
place, but I am going to go there to stream it from the Arden Guild. And yeah, so any listeners, I people have asked like, why don't you do more online shows during this whole thing? But we haven't really had we haven't had the like bandwidth of our our computer,
Yeah.
our internet situation. The one time I tried to do it, it seemed a little rocky to get that going. So here's the one chance, I guess,
Um,
to tune in
so
for
you'll
that
actually
show.
go to Delaware and then be in the studio or on stage in a filmed
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of.
yeah. On the
Cool.
stage there with just me and a cameraman, and I'll probably go get a rapid COVID test before I go.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, just they've been doing some of those streaming shows, and then it's 8 p.m. Friday, February 5th, and then it'll be available for 48 hours afterwards for
Cool.
yeah people like in the UK or somewhere who aren't in the same time zone.
That is
So
cool.
thanks for mentioning that. I'm like,
I'm always happy to give plugs where needed. I wanted to ask you something that I have forgotten to ask you, and I don't think we're getting too far away from the topic, but if we are, we can just gloss over this. But um, I you played the Yola Tango Hanukkah show last year. And I was just curious what it's sort of a celebratory event. So it's sort of along the lines. And I was just curious, like, was that in a studio as well? Or how
it
did
was.
the math work on that?
It was yeah, back in December. It was at the WNYC studio, which I guess is like a little venue
Oh,
called
cool.
Green Space
Okay.
down. I just think of it as being kind of near the entrance to the Holland Tunnel, like Varick Street and something. And it was very tight, operation. There was just Yola Tango and special guest David Sedaris. I did not know was going to be on
Yes.
until we got there, and Ivan Julian also,
Wow.
and Ira's mom, of course, who's
Right, right.
it was always just like such a delightful part of their Hanukkah shows, and Eric and Reckless Eric also. And so yeah, there was basically like a cameraman and a sort of stage manager, and and that's about it. You know, we just it was so odd because it had just snowed in New York City, and there were big plate glass windows right around the studio, like out looking out onto Varick Street, and it was a Friday night while we were filming. I thought this is so weird. Like literally, maybe one person stopped and looked in the window. And it was kind of like this is everyone just had their head down, getting where they needed to go. You know, cases were up again. And it
Yeah.
just it was just so strange to be in New York on a Friday night in that kind of setting, and just have it be a different world, really. But that was it was such a delight to get to do that, and to see them with masks on. Of course, we were all masked unless we were
Yeah.
on the stage. So it was a really sweet end to 2020.
Yeah.
But and that kind of, speaking of Ivan Julian, that who was doing so great, and it was so good to see him. I was remembering, and this had been another thing I wondered if we could talk about it, or maybe it's too morbid, but I was remembering playing at a memorial for Robert Quine,
Oh,
and
wow.
the Shams did, and and I was thinking about people's funerals, and music that people play, have played when they're when they pass away, and like what they want
Yeah.
their gathered friends and family to hear. And have you ever, you're too young to have thought about this, I'm sure, but have you ever thought about like what would be a cool song?
Um, that is a really good question. I know you're not a fan, and it might not be cool to play this anymore because he's become so polarizing. But Van Morrison has a song called "Into the Mystic" that I think
I
is very beautiful, and I think that would be a nice way to cross over, and certainly force everyone, and I mean everyone who is at my funeral, to listen to. So
I
that would be a choice.
I think that would be a great. I heard that when I was in the grocery store or something the other day, and but it is definitely like I know I'm not the hugest fan, but I can't say no to that song, and I think that would be such a great great moment. I was thinking, it changes for me all the time.
Yeah.
I always come back to "Move On Up" by Curtis Mayfield,
Oh, nice.
because that's just such an uplifting song, and I think it's probably I imagine it being a popular one for people of a certain age. But one that occurred to me just thinking, getting ready to do this show, I love, and you've probably heard it because I know you like Richard Linklater films, but Kathy McCarty's version of Daniel Johnston's "Living Life"
Yes. Yep.
from,
Yep.
and I first heard it in Before Sunrise, and I just like blew me away when
Yeah.
I heard it. When I heard her version, I mean, Daniel's
Yeah.
is, so unique and quirky, and it's anyway. I thought, wow, that "Living Life"
Yeah. Yeah.
could be, even though you're even though you're on your way out, it's such an uplifting song, and I love her version of it, and the drums kick in, and I don't know. Anyway,
I
that's
agree. I love that song. That's a great choice. I remember when I first heard that, and this is like part of the reason why I always wanted to be on Barn on Records, is because I got a sampler from them I just think because I ordered some records from some They Might Be Giants records from them, or a Yola Tango record or whatever, and they sent along a sampler with a lot of their other bands on it, and that was the Kathy McCarty song that was on there, and I was like, this is amazing. I don't even think I knew who Daniel Johnson was at the time, so like it was, you know, a neat sort of introduction to this label and this sort of culture of indie rock. That was really cool for me, and very formative. So I think that's a beautiful choice, and one of my favorites on that compilation.
I think they might have released like a whole album of Kathy McCarty doing his
Probably, yeah.
songs on Bar. Yeah, that's there. There you go, the Bar None connection. But yeah, it's such. And I love that line, Doris Day and Martha Huppel. Yeah, like we're
Yeah.
such a something couple. Doris Day and Martha Huppel. I just think, that's it's so romantic. But I guess we have a few listeners today.
Yay!
Have we got any questions? We've got John Smallword. Are you, John, you're thinking of going on the Outlaw Cruise 2022? I just saw Elizabeth Cook announcing that she was going to be on
Cool.
there, and I just was thinking like, wow, like, is it too soon for? I mean, this is a year from now, but like, is the cruises going to come back? It seems like it'd be fun, but oh, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, that seems like just a disease vector, like writ large. I'm sure it is fun. I reviewed this Bell and Sebastian live record where they took a lot of the material from a cruise that they did, and it's a great little live record. It's actually a big live record. It's quite sprawling. I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes long, but it's but I was thinking to myself, like, would I actually enjoy being on a cruise for like 8 days with, lots of live music and bands, but then like you have to go back to your cabin and then maybe see the same people the next day for a show. And I mean, in addition to cruises just seeming sort of like petri dishes, I was like, I'm trying to decide, because the show sounds like it was a blast. But I just don't know if I could hang for that long. So John, if you go, take pictures and video so that I can live vicariously.
and be careful, for God's sake.
Yes.
Yeah, people. Oh, yeah. Michael White says the Waco brothers did the cruise a couple years ago. R.I.P. Joe Camarillo, the drummer for the band, passed away a couple days ago.
Oh man.
That's real. Yeah. What a great partying bunch of guys. And yeah. Sorry to hear about Joe.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. We got any questions out there? Yeah, it seemed like he was. I didn't know him, Joe, but he looked like such a sweetie.
I think if you're in the Waco brothers, you're probably pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
I just get that sense from watching them, and they just seem like they're always having the best time. And John Langford is just a really fun seeming guy. I just think he's the life of the party wherever he goes. Well, I'll throw a question out to you. So you wrote Cynically Yours, if I remember, from Girl to City. You actually kind of wrote that with a friend's wedding in mind, correct? Or did you just perform it at somebody's wedding?
Yeah, just played it at a wedding, but
Okay.
I was temping at CBS, and my person who sat at the next desk, Colleen, asked me like, "Oh, she hadn't found a particular person, but she was just kind of looking to the future, and if she did decide to get remarried, like, oh, write me a song."
Oh, wow.
So that kind of, it just started flowing out, and
It's a great song, by the way.
but I don't know if I don't think she ever got remarried, but I did it was amazing because we worked together in like 98, 99, and I moved away from New York City. But when I did my book release in Brooklyn in in October 2019. She was there, and it was just so nice to see one of my old coworkers.
Have you ever written a song in commemoration of an event or a holiday besides weddings?
I guess I wrote I wrote a song sort of for my mother back in the Shams days called "Always with You," and I did play it at a friend's mother's memorial. It's just a real kind of, it's a pretty sad song, but hopefully has that. Somehow those songs that you play at a memorial, they have to have some kind of
Yeah.
uplifting kind of affirmation to them. But I think, yeah, songs on command. Like it's. I think part of the reason with Cynically Yours, I thought, like, if you could write a wedding song, it really
Yeah.
is like gold. Like you're always
Yeah.
going to have, you know, people love wedding songs, and also as you get older, as a rock music audience ages and people start passing away. I
Yeah.
know Eric has a song called "Final Taxi,"
I love that
and
song.
it really is and people have used it for I don't think he's ever played it at a funeral or at a wake or a memorial, but it has been used, and I think, and again, like we were talking about playing at a wedding,
Yeah.
it would be sort of hard to be a person playing a song that was meaningful to the person who's died, but they're not there to even say, like, no, this person's like, I really love their music, and
Yeah.
like
This guy.
people are there, like, yeah, who we get him, like, or her, like, of all the things they could have played, like, why this? I don't know. It just sounds like a difficult position to find yourself in. But as as musicians, like, we just, that's part of it. I guess you're just like willing to put yourself in these kind of bizarre circumstances, but just like willingly do it. And I have played, like I said, I've played Cynically Yours at some weddings, and I got an email like a year or two ago, and the subject line was, "We're still married." The woman, yeah, the woman who had got me to sing the song at their wedding was pleased to tell me that things had, worked out and that they stayed together, and I thought that was really sweet.
That is sweet.
It doesn't always go that way.
No. 50% of the time, allegedly, according to most statistics, it won't. So that's good for them. Maybe the song helped. I mean, that song is really, really good, and I think just about perfect for a wedding of sort of level-headed folks. I just think it's a really cool tune, and you've played it in concert before, and it always makes me smile.
Oh,
So
thanks. It's good to have a song that can make people make people laugh. Real icebreaker.
yeah, totally.
But well, I guess I don't know. We don't have any questions. I see Norma's visiting us. We've got Michael White, John.
Our crew.
Yeah, thank you for showing up. And I was kind of thinking, it's my birthday, and I'm in upstate New York. It's snowing. It's the end of January, and I was like, oh, I wish we could go out and eat, but I'm not going to like go eat in a restaurant. And then
Yeah.
I saw like a place not too far away that they'd constructed little greenhouses, individual greenhouses that people could dine in. And but I just picture a server like stumbling across like an icy sidewalk
Oh yeah.
with a tray, and I just like I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not this year. So it's kind of it always sucked. It's always sucked to have a birthday in the end of January, but because it's just like always cold and stuff. But this year, but this year it's almost like the pressure's off. So like I don't even just don't even care anymore. Oh, hello from rainy North Carolina. That's a nice place to be.
Oh yeah.
From John Campbell. But so we've got the Fran Lebowitz and Martin Scorsese. It's how many episodes are in this
I think
series?
it's either 8 or 10.
Oh my
They're about
gosh!
a half hour a piece, and
Oh,
yeah, that you'll burn through them. I mean, it's almost impossible to turn it off once you get started, because they have just such a nice rapport, and he seems to just adore her, and talking to her, and it's intercut with some old footage of her on the Letterman show and stuff, and then I mean, as I say, I just find her such a charismatic person, and so magnetic that like I couldn't stop watching her. And I actually texted our mutual friend Bruce Bennett because he interviewed her in 2010 when she did the first documentary called Public Speaking with Scorsese. And Bruce is not one to like suffer fools, and he doesn't really mince
right.
words. And so I said, you interviewed Fran Lebowitz. What was he like? And he unequivocally said that she was his favorite, or one of his favorite interview subjects ever. And he found her just mesmerizing and captivating, just like I did. So I felt sort of validated, because, as I say, he does not suffer fools easily. And if she was able to charm Bruce, then she must have some kind of power. So,
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. So 7 episodes apparently it has.
oh, 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I,
Well,
I think I'm tonight. I'm kind of more in the mood for like a Joan Crawford movie. I don't know
there you
why,
go.
but something about like Mildred Pierce is really kind of calling to me tonight. So I think that it's such a great like mother daughter story. So something like that. No no wire hangers. No, that's right. I'm still waiting for my daughter to shout at me, "I'm not one of your fans." Um, it's that's bound to happen one of these days. But I guess we'll shall we call it a night and
Yeah, you got partying to do.
I
You've
got I
got
got some
movies
I
to
gotta
watch and food to eat.
pop
And
open a bottle of something sparkling
yes,
and
yes,
yeah, we'll reconvene next week.
indeed we will. And yeah, happy birthday. And
Yeah,
we'll be
thanks.
celebrating here for you with our
I
balloons.
love the balloons. Thank you. That's oh, I just wanted to show you. I wanted to show you what Eric got me for my birthday. He must he must really
No.
love me because he got me a banjo.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited about this. It
Can
actually
you?
it needs some work.
Mhm.
He ordered the little machine heads for that. They haven't arrived yet, so
So you can't just whip
I
out
can't.
Foggy Mountain Breakdown right now?
But it's gonna be. It's. I've been wanting one
Yeah.
for a while, so it's gonna be fun to try to play it. Oh, there's Robert Johnson. Happy birthday from Robert. Hey. Oh wow. But yeah, I'm looking forward to even just learning to pick out a few things or
Oh, yeah.
adding a little color to some recordings with this.
Cool. That is great. I can't wait to hear what you come up with.
Yeah, I'm yeah, it's sort of going to go off on a Neil Young tangent with this. Or not rather than Flatt and Scruggs, I think.
All right.
Well, yeah, great to see you, Elizabeth. And
good to see you too. Happy birthday again, and we'll find the magic next week. So tune in, everyone. Thank you for watching with us live. This was really fun.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.